What is up, Booger Beans? Welcome back to another episode of Adventures with Boog. I'm Tanner. Booger isn't going to be here today because it's going to be a little bit too dangerous in the bus for her to be working out here. And Sydney is currently at work, so she'll show up probably halfway through the episode or something like that. Today what we're going to be doing, well, probably not all today, but over the next couple of days, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be fixing all the rust that's on the floor. So to start that, we got to finish cutting off the rest of the screws that pulled through when we removed all the plywood. Then I have three different options on how to remove the rust. So I've got some really coarse wire wheels, I've got some surface prep discs, and I've also got some muriatic acid. So we're gonna try all three of those, figure out which one works the best, and then continue with that through the rest of the bus. As well as we are going to be sealing and primer sealing all of the floor of the bus and getting that all completed and ready so that we can start putting down wood and plywood and all of that stuff. So let's get to it. So these are the little guys that we're gonna be dealing with. We gotta get all of those cut off of the bus floor, and I'm just gonna use a grinder with a zip disc, and I got safety goggles and my mask to try and help prevent a little bit of dust in my eyes and in my mouth. So this is the reason that I went and decided to get some masks. That's the mask I used for about an hour or so, maybe an hour and a half. And then this is a brand new mask, still in the box. So without that mask, all that dust goes right in your lungs. So that's not very good. But we got all of those cut. I'm gonna just do some quick cleaning up with the vacuum, try and get rid of some of the dust that's in the air in here. And then I'm going to start stripping the rust and figure out which method works best so that we can use that method to try and speed along the process. So. Alright, Booger Beans, so what we need to do is get rid of as much of this rust as we can. Then whatever we can't get rid of, we'll be treating with a rust converter to help prevent it from rusting any further. And then we'll be painting over with a rust paint that will again help to inhibit any more rust and seal the rest of the metal that is bare metal. But before we do that, I kind of want to do a little test and see what's going to work the best, because I've never removed this much rust before. I've done a bit of rust removal on some cars, but never this much. So what I'm going to do is I've kind of split up the floor in I don't know, roughly the same amount of space. I've got a coarse, really coarse wire wheel. We're going to try that on the first space. Then I've got a surface prep disc. I've actually got two of these. This one is a 40 grit surface prep disc, and I think I've got like a 30 grit or something like that inside that I might try as well. But we're gonna try that one in the middle. And then on this side, we're gonna try some muriatic acid that we're just gonna use this wire brush just to kind of scrub into the rust and see if that actually kind of eats the rust away. Now, why I'm doing this kind of test is I want to know what's going to be the easiest, but also want to know what's going to be the fastest too, because we want to work on this bus and get it going and get on to the next stages before winter comes. You guys can probably hear in the background the heaters I have running in here. It's the middle of October in Alberta, and it's already getting pretty cool. So we're going to have to figure out a way to kind of heat this bus while we work in it as well. So that's what the plan is right now. I'm going to basically strip this one, and then we'll do the acid. The acid is probably going to have to sit for an hour or two, and then we'll come back and wash it with some water and see what we get to. So let's get to it. Right there. That actually strips it really quick. Actually, that wheel really goes to town there. The only one real drawback to this is it is really really freaking dusty. That's a big problem with using a grinder if we got to do all this floor. When you're using a grinder like this, it throws up a lot of dust. So makes it a little dirty, but it does a pretty darn good job. We still got a little bit of kind of deep rust that we'll have to deal with. And that deep rust we might not be able to get rid of really. We might just have to put rust converter on it and go with that and then seal it. But it definitely gets rid of all the flakes, any metal that is peeling, it gets rid of that really quick. Yeah, not a bad job. So let's move on to the scuffing pad, I guess we'll call it surface prep pad. So I have a feeling this guy is going to be just as dusty as that guy, but I've heard these work really good. So let's see. Okay, so like I said, it is just as dusty as using the coarse wheel. It does seem to polish up the steel once it gets through the rust a little bit better, but I think it's way slower. I think this guy just strips down through that rust really fast, but also I find where there's ups and downs in the steel, this coarse wheel can actually bend and flex and go right into those ups and downs, those holes. Whereas I find this guy isn't going into those holes as much. And because of that, maybe that's not the way we want to go. So now I'm gonna try with a little bit of muriatic acid over here. And to do that, you gotta wear some gloves. So make sure you get a good set of gloves. And then what you're gonna do is basically put the muriatic acid on there, give it a scrub, let it sit for about an hour, and then come and just wash it off with some water. So we're gonna go ahead and do that and see what we get up to now. So this is an acid, so again, you wanna be careful. If you get it on your skin, you wanna wash it off. If you get it in your eyes, that's gonna be nasty. So you wanna make sure that you're wearing safety goggles and you're being careful. So we're just going to pour just a little bit on there. Just like that. Then I'm going to grab the wire brush or wire disc and just give her a bit of a scrub here. Now, I'm just going to let that sit for an hour. And then we'll come back and wash it off. I'm not going to do right to the edge of the tape because I know it's just going to eat the tape and that's going to make a big mess and I don't want to deal with that. So I'm just going to do that little spot, and you guys saw how quick we put it on there. So we'll let it sit for an hour, then we'll come and wash it off. Okay, booger beans, so it's been a little bit over an hour now, and I have let the bus air out. I had the windows open while the acid was sitting there on the rust. So I'm just going to give it another quick scrub with the wire brush, or the other grinding wheel. And then I'm going to wash it with the water and give it a quick wipe up and kind of see what we end up with, whether it did a good job or not. So let's take a look here. That's actually really quite impressive. So wherever it was just surface rust and no flakes, like any of the big flakes are still there, they didn't get removed, but the surface went completely clean. Freaking, like right down to bare metal. Right down to bare metal. So that's actually not bad. Now, the thing is, it makes an even bigger mess to try and deal with once you have water in here, which kind of sucks, because if we do the whole floor with it, it's going to be a lot of water to rinse it out, which is not going to be the easiest to deal with. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that like that, and I'm going to actually put the coarse wheel back on the grinder, and I'm going to grind it and see if that bigger flake rust breaks right down to the bare metal, or if it still needs work underneath. So let's do that for a quick sec and see what we end up with here. Well, it actually does a really, really good job. Huh. Well, I think what we're going to end up doing here is using a combination of the two. So the back half of this bus here is really, really quite rusty. From the wheel wells back, for some reason, it's quite rusty. So what I'm going to do, I'm thinking, is I'm going to take the muriatic acid and pour it basically on this back half of the bus. And then while that is sitting for an hour or maybe even a couple hours, because that might even do better if I leave it for a couple more hours, while that's sitting, I'm going to work on smaller rust spots up in the front of the bus. So then I'm doing double duty in less time. It looks like all the pieces that are kind of flaked rust, where it's kind of sticking up, I'm going to have to come back with a wire wheel no matter what. I think the wire wheel does do a better job than these scuffing pads, but just like how well this went down to the bare metal here is amazing. Like that's so nice. So if we can do that, that will help adhesion of the paint and protecting the metal much better. So let me know what you guys would do in the comments down below. What one do you guys think were the best, and maybe what you guys have done on your bus as well. And but that's my plan. That's what I'm going to try and do.